You were in receipt of a letter from the Attorney General's office regarding renewing the 287G program.
Sure.
Could you talk about your reaction to that, particularly to their suggestion that you deliberately declined to disclose this information?
No, we as you know, we've had 287G in effect here in Monmouth County for over 10 years. It's been a successful program and partnership. We signed an extension to that prior to the directive. Then we received some clarification from the Attorney General that he's seeking some data and documents in reference to the program, and we're certainly supplying that and speaking with the Attorney General's office in receipt of that memo. We'll continue the program until we submit those documents and data and we hear further from the Attorney General. As you know, his directive allows for 287G. There is a allowable allowance in there in his directive, and we're going to seek out that allowance. So right now we're continuing the program. It has been an extension that was signed with ICE, and we'll supply all the documentation. It's been a successful program with us. We've ran this program for over 10 years in the Monmouth County Sheriff's Office, and I want to stress, it's a correctional facility program. There's a little misconception out there that the Sheriff's Office is out in our communities locking up individuals that are illegal immigrants. That's not the case. This is strictly people that have been brought into the Monmouth County Correctional Facility with some type of charge, really serious charge, as you know, with bail reform. Only those with serious charges and unable to declare bail and be released are the ones that come into our facility. And so, this has been a successful partnership in keeping our community safe and secure. And in the spirit of the directive, we're not out in those communities in any threatening manner. In fact, we've had, again, no incidents with this inside the walls of our facility.
Why didn't you submit a justification memo or whatever
those
before
documents
you renewed?
and data? No, you have to understand the timeline. The directive came into effect March 15th. The extensions were signed by myself and the Cape May Sheriff, and I believe Salem County was looking at one prior to the directive date, right? And then subsequently, we received a memo from the Attorney General's office seeking the data, also seeking the standards that he would be looking for in order to consider continuing that program. So this letter was a reaffirmation of that request for data, and we'll certainly comply. We'll have those data and documents by July 30th, and then we'll see August 6th what the General says.
Sheriff, what's your general reaction to the directive?
My general reaction is that we've had, you have to look at the programs. We've had a successful program in Monmouth County. We've worked with ICE for over 10 years on 287G. Certainly in no way, in the spirit of the directive, we're in no way in the communities threatening or creating a lack of trust within the Hispanic community here in Monmouth County. And so, again, these are individuals that have been brought into intake in our facility. For example, in 2018, we processed, I think, 7,800 intakes, just over north of 7,800 intakes in our facility. 40 of those were identified as ICE holds and detainers, and we transferred them to ICE within 24 hours, which is our policy. So we don't hold, and again, I want to make clear, we're not out in the communities seeking to arrest those individuals under the 287G program. This is strictly administered in our correctional facility. And secondary to that, within that program, we don't detain for long periods of times. We have an internal policy that says we put them out within 24 hours, and we've done that. So we're going to, again, that's part of the documentation and data that I think everyone is going to look for and evaluate, and certainly we'll do that. The other thing I will say is this. The non-cooperation with ICE is a tough one for law enforcement because you have federal law and state law, and it's contradictory. And one of those things that I hope can be worked out between the agencies is how can we continue cooperation and have a policy that's effective for everybody. We'll wait and see if that happens.
So the month that directive was issued, a guy who had been let out of Middlesex County, legal immigrant, had a detainer, went to Missouri, killed 2 people.
Right.
Yeah, I was just going to ask him, do you feel that the Attorney General, in advancing policies like this, even if these are maybe isolated cases, he has blood on his
I think I'm not going to say that. Listen, I think the administration, the governor and the general have a certain policy, and we run a certain program that's in conflict with that policy. We're going to try to reconcile the two and see if we can continue our 287G program here in the county. I can't speak to the facts of the case up in Middlesex. I'm not aware. Certainly, we are aware of tragic incidents around the country. This is meant to prevent that in the sense that any of the individuals that come into the facility have already been charged with a crime. And under bail reform, it's more than likely a serious crime, third degree or better. And so those individuals are run through the 287G program, and if they have an ICE hold, ICE is contacted.
Given the statement, I don't know if you're aware, the Attorney General had the news conference in November, the statement that he issued regarding this whole situation. Do you feel like you acted in good faith when you renewed the contract before getting the specifics of the directive?
Yeah, well, certainly. I mean, it's a program, as I said, that's been successful for 10 years here in the county, right? In fact, I inherited the program, and we've signed extensions throughout that period of time. It's something I believe in. I don't think we should release a criminal in that case to go out and do more harm to our residents here in Monmouth County. And so, there is a conflict here. There's a bigger conflict on the federal versus state question about, should law enforcement be able to enforce federal law as well? Those questions hopefully have to be worked out and reconciled between all the agencies. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all here for the collective good. This is one issue maybe the Attorney General and I disagree on, but we certainly agree on other issues that concern, our violence against police officers, our narcotics and our heroin epidemic that's plaguing our state. So there are other issues that we collaboratively work together day in and day out in law enforcement, federal, state, county, local level, without an incident, right? So this is one of those, this is a process that has to take place. We'll go through the process and we'll see what the outcome is.
You don't foresee any problem making I think it was an August 6th deadline?
Oh, no, we've been compiling that data, and we have that data. It's something that we do. ICE does house some of that data, and I'm sure they'll make it available as well. And we'll comply. It's actually a July 30th deadline for us in terms of getting all the documentation and data in. And it's an August 6th, I think, evaluation period. So we'll see what happens.
What happens if he denies it? I mean, what happens if he just says he rejects your reasoning?
Well, we'll see. I mean, this is a conversation and communication that has to occur over the next month, right? And we'll have those conversations with the Attorney General on how we can best, if he chooses to implement a program or learn more information about the program or look at the data, and how we can best. Some of it's education for everybody because, as you know, in the media, when you see 287G, I've had inferences that we're out there in the communities locking people up. That's far from the truth. Again, this occurs in the four walls of our Monmouth County Correctional Facility of people that have been brought to us and takes from other law enforcement agencies. So one is a educational, if you will, making sure that not only our residents are educated, but those decision makers, as you pointed out, have an educated and collaborative effort in order to make a reasonable decision and policy moving forward if that's what he chooses to do.
If the Attorney General pauses this program, are you concerned for the safety of Monmouth County, especially with, I know your views on bail reform?
You know me long enough. Listen, I've been in law and public safety 28 years, sheriff for 10, a Monmouth County resident all my life. I'm passionate about protecting the residents of Monmouth County, and certainly anything like that would be a concern. Again, we'll have to look at what transpires over the next few weeks. And my goal is to educate, coordinate, and collaborate and see if we can come up with a reasonable policy for everybody moving forward. If that's not the case, I certainly am concerned for the residents of Monmouth County that we release or maybe release somebody back into the community that shouldn't have been.
But for now, you are going to continue the program until...
Oh, yeah, we have the continue. We're continuing it today, and again, gathering all that data per the Attorney General's letter, and we sent him a letter back again pointing out some of those statistics, and that we're gathering that information. And again, our goal is to educate and collaborate and try to come to a decision that protects our residents while continuing on with their objective about not being able, it's a trust directive, right? So you want to be able to have meetings with our community, particularly the Hispanic community and the immigrant community, and build that trust, right? And at least educate them about what the program is all about. And we've done that in the past.
How did you find out, Shaun? How did you find out that you had renewed that agreement? Was that
Oh, I'm not sure. I mean, we received an email from a Deputy Attorney General that outlined post-directive date that outlined some of the requirements that would have to be met, and it was subsequently outlined in that letter that was received the other day.
In your office might have tipped them off?
No, I don't. It's all. Listen, we are transparent. I will tell you, even our policy internally has been coordinated and collaborated with other groups, and advocacy groups have been in my office, and we've talked about this. We can disagree on the issue and initiative itself, but again, with certain groups, we can agree on how to best implement it to protect everybody.